I want to demonstrate iAuditor. I just started using the program, so I'm by no means an expert, but I like it so far. iAuditor saves your checklist as what they call templates. Now, I have one template here for all of our rides. You could have each ride as a separate template, but then you would have 17 or 20 or however many rides you have saved each day. So I like the fact that I can have every day one file. We'll start the audit. I have it auto-populating the location, when the inspection was conducted, and who did it. But of course you can change who prepared the inspection. It's just my iPad, so it's going to have my name. As we click on next section, you'll see I only have a couple rides listed so far as I've just started using the program. But I want to show you, once I slide this on, I get my checkpoints for the Speedway ride. Now, all the way on the left, you'll see that those are mandatory fields because they're in red. As I check them off, the red will go away. Now, if I found a problem, I create a follow-up like, hey, Gates, I've got a problem here. Maybe I needed to replace something, whatever, on there. And I can save that there. I can also remind myself to order more seatbelts, like, hey, I just used my last seatbelt. Let me create a follow-up. Order seatbelts. I can choose a color. I can tell it when to remind me to order more seatbelts, and I'll get a notification on my iPad that I need to order more seatbelts in case I just happen to forget throughout the day while I'm doing the rest of my inspection. Anyway, let's keep going as we click off these mandatory fields. Now, these checkpoints that aren't in red are not mandatory, so it will let me finish the inspection without checking them. But for the sake of the demonstration, let's check a couple. At the end, I can also write in any other notes. Car 2 replaced pin. And then if I choose, I can take a picture to show that. I always like to take a picture after the fact to show that the maintenance was done. I can choose to annotate that. Maybe put an arrow. And then I can put a circle. And there you go. Now, after each ride, there needs to be a signature. It's a mandatory field. And then I can move on to the next ride. Let's go to Twist and Shout. I click on that. It populates a new set of checkpoints. The red ones are mandatory. I like to list them in the order I like to do my inspection. Now, this is our newest ride, so I'm not as familiar with it. So I've decided to add little notes. You see on shock absorbers and compression tanks, I wrote to remind myself to check the pressure and make sure it's at 3.2 bar. Check that off. As we go with these mandatory red ones, pneumatic system, another note, compressor. Pulley's not a mandatory field, but let's say I check them. I've also added pictures. I just photoshopped some arrows in there, saved it as a JPEG, and then imported the JPEG to the iAuditor. Here's another one, guide roll and guide tracks. I took a picture. I actually lifted it from the manual and then just added the arrows. And let's just check off a couple of these so you can see how it works. You get the basic idea. I can also add some notes. I can take another picture. I can take multiple. And we can annotate again. I could also add text. You can add multiple medias, and if I click on complete, it won't let me because I have a red field that wasn't populated, which is my signature. So let's sign this one. And there you see I can mark it as complete now. You see the blue on the bottom. I click on that. And that's it. The audit is complete. That's going to upload now to the cloud, and you have it. As a secondary step, I like to preview and export and send it to my email. Well, not my email. I created a separate email account that is just for maintenance logs, and that is customizable. You can save the file however you want to save it. And that's it. We can close this out. So then I open my mail, and you'll see that I just got a new mail. That blue one on top is the inspection log for today. I can click on that. It'll download the file, and this is what the PDF will look like. Now, this is all customizable. This is just how I choose to do it. I like to have the logo. I like to have ride inspections, Zeno's Field Park. I also like to have who prepared it. I like to have the time that it was started, the location, and the time that it was completed, so that you can see that whoever was doing your inspections didn't take 5 minutes to do them. Now, as you can remember, on Gates, we had this note. So you see Gates was checked, and it was replaced. Here was the reminder that I gave myself, and when I set to remind it. So if I don't take that reminder off, it's going to wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning, but you get the idea. And then it will actually go through the inspection. You'll see Speedway, and here are all the checkpoints. Again, it showed us that we had Gates here as something to follow up on, but it gives you Gates here as being checked off because I did check it off. If I didn't check that off, it wouldn't let me finish the inspection because it wouldn't let me open the ride if something wasn't complete. Now, boats were off, fire engines were off, jets were off, so as long as I have that ride off, it will let me finish the inspection because the way I programmed it, if something is off, I don't need to check off the mandatory fields because you might have to shut a ride down for the day and you don't want to have to check off things that weren't done just to pass your inspection on the software. I hope I made that clear. Anyway, as we go down, you'll see that the non-mandatory things, like here we have car brackets, it shows that it wasn't checked off. Now in the software you can choose to exclude all of these from the PDF file and just keep them blank, but I like to have them as a blank non-checked field just because. And here's my note where I wrote car number 2 replaced pin. Now if I do a search, once I close this out, when I search my iPad for car 2 pin, this file will come up. It will show me that on maintenance log 3717, that will pop up and I can reference it. It also has my signature and a little thumbnail of the picture I took. Twist and shout was on, so we're going to see all my responses, all my checks. Now, I chose on the PDF file not to include the notes that are on the maintenance checklist. This is just the PDF file. So I don't have the pictures for the inspector references or the notes for the references. It just keeps it a little neater. And you'll see my stinky feet. And then at the end, you'll see all the pictures that were taken that day in a larger, more clear, higher resolution photo. So that's it. I mean, I just started using it. I'm sure it does a lot more than that, but that's what I figured out so far. I hope it was helpful.